Hello, and welcome to a fondling of our nosurge Ode to something star something. Yeah, I don't remember the title. Let's find out what the title is. Ode to an unknown star. Yes, I knew it all along. Anyway, now this is a sequel to, I guess it's more of a spiritual successor. Because I have no idea how these games actually connect to each other, if they do at all. First of all, I think most players that enjoy JRPGs like to know if it has English and Japanese voice acting, and it does. But I'm using the Japanese voice, not because I'm some kind of purist or anything. I generally tend to just have the English voice on, but for this one, I think there's a lot of dialogue that's missing if you're playing using the English dialogue. So yeah, I'm just choosing the Japanese one for this one. So let's just load up the game and see what the game's all about. So I'm about 20 hours in so far in the game. The game is actually quite weird and different from your standard JRPGs that you might have played. You know, like the ones like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and the like. It's made by Gust, the people that bring you other titles such as the Atelier series and Atelier Iris, Atelier Totori, Rorona, Aisha. Yeah, long running series. And Artonelico actually goes back all the way to the PS2 era as well. And it has Artonelico 1, 2, and it also has the PS3 game Artonelico Quoga or something like that. And that game wasn't that good. I mean, it wasn't the worst game ever made, but it certainly wasn't a very good one either. And I think what sets up this game apart from the other R games, I guess, R Tonelico. This is not R Tonelico, but R nosurge. Is that in this one you're actually playing through the perspective of two different characters. One, you're kind of playing as a standard JRPG heroine with spiky hair named Delta, and the other, who you can change back and forth most of the time whenever you want, is called Earthis. And he's a cool dual-wielding gun robot guy, and he's good. He's pretty cool. He doesn't actually speak, but he actually uses telepathy or something like that to speak to other characters. So let's go ahead and see what this game is like. If you ever played the Artonelico games in the PS2, you kind of know what to expect. But if you haven't, I suggest you go back and try those games out. Artonelico 1 and 2, I think they're some of the better RPG games available on the PS2. And that's saying a lot, because there's a ton of really good RPG games from the PS2 era. And I think the one aspect of Artonelico, or the R series in general, is the ability to dive into the subconsciousness of, or the whatever I think it's called the geometrics in this game. But it's kind of like the subconscious world of one of your partners, all of them being female. I think you can only dive into the girl's world. And as you can see, I've already gone through 5 worlds from the side of Ion, or Eon, however you want to call it. And in these worlds, you actually learn some very interesting things about the characters. Their like deepest, darkest secrets, what they truly feel, whether or not they trust you or not, and things like that nature. And it's not very clear cut how they actually show all that emotion, and that's one of the interesting things about this game. I think it goes kind of very deep into the whole psychology aspect, where there's a lot of metaphors and talks of symbolism, I suppose is a good word for a lot of the stuff that happens here. As you can see, I'm able to go through these little zones, and since I've completed everything, I guess I could go through some of the events and stuff. But what it is that there's like a twisted world. It's got its own issues, and you're here as kind of like an outsider to help them get over whatever the problem is. to come to an understanding, either or acceptance, and then they move on to the next layer, and so on and so forth. A lot of the I guess scenarios presented here is actually pretty funny, oftentimes, and sometimes even a little surprising and a little dark sometimes too. And I enjoy that kind of stuff. I think when it comes to JRPGs or RPG games in general, they tend to stick with just a tried and true formula as far as how character interactions go. So if you kind of seen the character like a tsundere, as in someone who seems to be kind of doesn't like you, but in truth doesn't like you and is kind of violent, but in truth they actually like you a lot, kind of thing. Tsundere, if you actually break apart the Japanese word, I think "sun" means like hate or something, and then "dere" means love, so hate, love, something like that. And there's also the ability to go into these purification things, which is kind of like rituals, but it's just another way of equipping items and characters. Yes, this is a girl in her undies with a giant robot in a public bath. That's exactly what it looks like, and that's exactly what it is. And you can also talk about various little events within the game that's occurred. These are little events that I unlocked by either seeing certain things unfold, or I might be able to unlock number 5. Let's go ahead and I don't want to spoil too much, so let's listen to some of the ones that are more optional stuff. The conversation here is to deepen the bonds between the characters so they understand each other better, and that opens up new slots where they can use these really powerful gems to enhance their abilities. She has some weird taste, but she's delightful in general. Yeah, sure. She's an odd goose, but she's nice. And like I said, you can either you can slot these gems that I got from doing the dives into the robot as well. As you can see, I have a number of different ones, and it actually gives you a summary of how I was able to get these gems too, which is pretty neat. I think I have a pretty optimal setting for what I need. I'm very offensive. I don't really need any defense. I'll just kill everything before they're able to attack me at all. So okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the combat. What's a good place? Let's go to the Flask Sea. Let me leave for a second and go back in, and I'll explain why I did that in a second. 19. That's weird. As you can see, the numbers next to the title of the zone tells you how many encounters of enemies there's left, and as the blue light there glows, the longer you kind of move about, the more likely it becomes that you're gonna run into an enemy. But what I want to do is I want to run into as many enemies as possible at once. I guess is 19 the maximum that I can get here? I guess they changed the areas around a bit, which is kind of surprising. I didn't know that they did that too much. Let me see if I can get a better encounter here. Because if I'm going to show off some combat, I want to do it in an area where I can really get some crazy things going on. 24. Great. Okay, that'll work. So as you can see, the color is changing, and the more it goes close to reddish, the more likely I'm gonna have an encounter, which should be right about now. Yeah. And if you can see at the very beginning of the combat, I'm able to change these, or I guess invoke one of these song magics. And song magic is generally the way you do the most amount of damage in this game. Yeah, you can attack with your frontline guy, but their main duty is to protect the singer at all costs. And on the upper left corner, or I guess the upper corner, you can see every single square is actually an encounter that I'm going to have to fight through. But given that I powered up quite a bit, I can take care of most of these guys relatively easily. I'm going to break this guy first, and then go into my super attack. The number that goes, that's increasing, that's at 17,000 right now. It's going to be even higher now. That's at 21,000. Is the strength of the song, and the higher that goes, the more powerful it is. And the more efficiently I clear the enemies, the better and higher this goes. So there's a lot of tactics involved in how you approach the combat. To some degree, because I mean, you gotta know which enemy to attack and which skills have this AoE effect and which one is good for breaking defenses and stuff like that. But at this point of time, I'm just really powerful for this enemy type, so I'm just able to just plow through them without issue. Okay, now I'm at rank 4, and the burst charge is actually quite high. And because of the way the song works, I'm able to basically clear out. I think I might have to maybe have 15, 16 more enemy waves to clear if I were to fight like this, and that would take a long time, and nobody wants to sit through that. I can also show off a friend skill, I guess. And friend skills are these things that you can use once per battle, and they're very powerful. Item acquisition sounds kind of neat. There. There's no harm in using these, I don't think. Most of them are just kind of like animated cutscenes that do like a tremendous amount of damage. Just think of them like kind of like super attacks of some sort. Yeah, I can no longer use friend skills now, but that doesn't matter. My song is ready. I'm about to let it rock. Match that X button. So I've killed 70 enemies, chained 15 things, and just blew them all away with one giant song magic attack. Yes, she's adorable. And the better you perform in combat, the more bonus experience money you get. As you can see, I got 2,400, but that's actually multiplied by 4.45. Thanks to me getting the S rank. I basically made it so that the enemies couldn't hit me while getting like a huge, gigantic chain and damage. So that's how I was able to get the S rank. So if you just kind of button mash, you might not be able to get the highest ranking. And just like that, from one giant fight, which in all honesty didn't even take that long, boom, I've cleared this entire area of enemies. Now I'm free to explore, pick up items, and do whatever I want. It's a neat little solution to how people don't want to do random encounters anymore. Yeah, there's random encounters in this one, but if you have the skill, and obviously if you're powerful enough too, because you can just brute force these things anyway, then you don't have to. You just fight them once, and boom, they're done. You get a crazy reward. I got a bunch of money, a bunch of die points, which I will surely use later down the line. But yeah, the combat is actually pretty cool. When the enemies actually attack you back, then you have to use not precise, I guess, but timed barrier attacks to reduce the damage and take the brunt of the force for your songstress, I suppose. But yeah, that's the combat in a nutshell. I like it. It's very similar to the combat in the first two Artonalco games, except in those two games you also had other party members too. In this one, you basically have the one front line and the one back line. for both of the scenarios or both the parties. So that's that. But you do have the other characters in the form of being able to dive into their world to unlock new songs to use, or getting help from them using friend skills and stuff like that. So there's that. And the other big thing you can do is, as typical, I suppose, of a Gust game, there's a synthesis element to it. And there's these vendors who are also your friends, and you talk to them and you unlock new recipes. Most of the time it's just kind of like really goofy stuff, but sometimes it's actually pretty funny. Do I have... Most of the time you'll get actually every single time you create a new item, you'll get a little dialogue event where people try to figure out what they just made. And most of the time, considering how ridiculous these items are, like, look at this. That's like a barbecue made out of jet engines. You know, a gas stove making use of 3 vernier thrusters, is that right? I don't know how to pronounce that. The super powerful flames exceed 2,000 degrees, allowing one to cook things instantly. Unfortunately, this requires incredible speed. Because yes, I don't know what you're cooking, but at 2,000 degrees, it'll be done. Okay, let me make something, and I'll show you the animation that plays when you do a synthesis, and it's pretty goofy. And here we go. And the item's done. I don't know about you, but that's generally how I believe everything gets made, right? So there's basically these like dance floors in every factory in across the world. They just do like a little dance to a little jingle, and then boom, the item's done. Did you want your new Mercedes? Do a little jingle, do a little dance, and boom, your car's done. And here's the conversation I talked to you about. Well, Sarli has to deal with Cass and Delta most of the time, and they're not very informed. Boom. Damn it! It was 50-50 and I still got it wrong. That's what I get for skipping physics. Making references, yeah. That's pretty funny. Because every time she makes things with Delta and Cass, they're always like, I don't get this at all. Not that I you know, I don't not that that's abnormal that they don't understand, because these items are ridiculous. I mean, look, they have a freaking, where is that? They have a Schrodinger's cat in a box. Why? What purpose does that serve? I don't know, but yeah. There's a synthesis element. You get recipes by just talking to them, progressing with the story. Nothing to it. It's not as deep or as intricate as the synthesis story in the Atelier games, and it shouldn't be, I suppose, because those games are as much as about synthesis and gathering items as it is about combat. And this one is a lot less about that. This one's a lot more about kind of like the visual novel element of the of diving into these partners and stuff like that. And yes, I know there's a lot of sexual innuendos and stuff like that that goes within the Art and Alka games. Those games probably more than even this one actually, and they're really blunt and funny about it. But yeah, it's just a little bit of tidbit. I do want to actually go back and play the first Art and Alka games again. It's been years since I played those. It's they're still sitting in my shelf over there. Yep, over there. Big boxes too. I think I still have the art books in them, or is that just the soundtrack? Oh yes, and this game has actually a wonderful soundtrack. They have these things called hymns or hymnos or whatever they spell it out, and they're kind of like vocal tracks, and oftentimes they're used in very dramatic ways, and they're good. I enjoy them quite a bit. But I think that about does it with this game. I showed the combat, synthesis. I can't really show much of the diving part because I guess I could show one thing, but that would be kind of spoilers. So yeah, okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. All right, well that's our nosurge. I haven't written the review. I will soon, but I've enjoyed quite a bit. It starts out a bit slow, but as it started to get going, good. I can form cohesive sentences if I actually think about them. After about phase 1, you go into phase 2, and that's when the story really kind of starts kicking into high gear, and that's where I am nearing the end of, I suppose. And yeah, the game's good. I enjoy it. If you're looking for a JRPG that's different from what you normally expect, and if you like things like the visual novel element to it, then definitely check this out. And I think if you've been a fan of the Art and Alka series, you probably already found this. Oh, and the one negative point that is not a fault of this game is that it has a prequel called the Ciel nosurge. It's a Vita game. It's very, very different from a standard RPG, and that's probably why it never made it to the States. But it makes references to the events of that game constantly, and I found myself getting lost in the story of what they're trying to get at, the previous connections of the characters and stuff like that. So I think it takes away from the experience that I haven't been able to play the prequel. Now that I played Borderlands pre-sequel, whenever I want to say prequel, the thought of saying the word pre-sequel comes to mind. So damn you Borderlands. But that's it. Thanks for watching.